This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded December 16th, 2013, episode 176, Radical, Robotic, Requisition.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of the soon-to-be-launching Contextual Electronics.
Ooh, soon to be launching. You didn't tell me about this.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't give me a heads up on this.
Yep.
When?
Yep.
When?
So, sign-ups start this week, and the course starts January 20th, 2014.
As in paid sign-ups start this week.
That's all there is, David.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right, yes.
I just wanted to point that out, that it's a paid course.
Yeah,
And-
that's a thing. So,
Yep.
yeah, so that's good. That's
I hope you
coming up.
get filthy, rich, and famous. Just
I don't want to
remember-
get filthy, rich, and famous.
us
I just want
in-
to. I just want to work on this stuff. It's just fun. So
Right, you just want to, yeah. But it'd be sweet if it turned into a full-time job. You could stick it to the man like I did.
that would be interesting. I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Right.
How do you deal with? Because I wonder about this for consultants too. How do you deal with like the isolation factor? That's what I always wonder about. I mean, like I think some people have mentioned to me before that they listen to podcasts all day to kind of feel like there's office chatter going on, but once you get over I don't have someone yapping my ear off about the football game or something. It's
Right.
like, oh, I kind of wish there were people around though.
Well, see, I don't. Like, I've always been a a solitary, nerdy engineer. I spent my entire life locked in my lab, I don't... My entire childhood locked in my lab. I didn't have any friends. So, this is normal for me.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I'm sorry. I mean, you're on the forum all day, right? I mean, like, there's that at least,
yeah,
right?
okay,
I mean, it's just a different type of interaction, at least.
Yeah,
but,
it's a different type of interaction. It's
yeah, I do agree. You are antisocial. You're kind of a troll. You
Yep.
You hang out at the
Live under
garbage
the
room,
bridge. Yeah,
stealing monitors. And you shall not take my monitor.
No, it's not so much the human interaction for me. It's more like, I don't get to work on stuff anymore because it's that for me was the thing about having a real job was the fact that you got to work on higher end stuff than I'd ever do on my own. I just don't have the time or inclination or money to do some huge ass project, whereas at work that's what you do. Generally you work on pretty decent projects usually.
Right.
Sometimes some projects suck, but in amongst the sucky ones are the real interesting ones that oh shit, I can spend a couple $100,000 or $1 million on this project, and something you'd never get to
right, all that
I can buy
overhead's
that
priced in.
$50,000 bit instrument.
Exactly, yeah. All that
Fantastic,
overhead's priced in. You have someone like brokering deals with government contracts or other
exactly.
large companies. That kind of that is a benefit for sure, because trying to do that as a small company or a single person in a company, right? Like a sole.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Sole traders.
Sole trader. Yep.
Yeah.
One man band, midnight engineer.
Yeah, you got to do it all then, right? You got to actually, and you don't want to sit in a meeting all day trying to wring stuff out of either specs or money. So that I could see that being difficult.
Although it varies. Like I know there's one man bands I know that work on real interesting shit, because they've either got clients because they're doing consulting work, right?
Yeah.
So they work on real interesting stuff. Because but that's the same really as having a 9-to-5 job. In fact, it can be better. If you're a design consultant, for example, you can just work on different projects all the time. But that has its own challenges in terms of pressure and all that sort of jazz. But when you're doing stuff like me, you don't have a defined project really to work on. It's not like, I'm going to spend the next 6 months working on this product, then I'm going to release it. That's just not the business I'm in anymore. So you're probably asking the wrong guy.
Well, it's like you have a bountiful harvest of time, right? It's like the whole world stretches in front of you, and then you have to try and decide, and that's almost as hard as someone handing you something and be like, here's some boundaries, now go optimize, right? That's like kind of what we like in the first place. Do you guys have stuff like, in the States we have SBIR grants? Have you ever heard of those?
No? What does that stand for?
I have no idea. I know SB is small business. I'm not sure. Maybe investigative research or something like that.
I think we do have something like that here. You can get tax breaks or something, and you can get government grants for doing R&D type things. But I think it's more paperwork than anything.
So I've talked to some people about it. My friend who works at NASA turned me on to it or he was like a contractor to NASA, and I think some of his stuff was SBIRs, and I met some people in the meantime who do that. And that's always like an interesting thing because there's like different stages as well. Like you'll have stage 1 is like really early research, 2 and 3, and you have to kind of apply. It's like a grant application process, but I think that's probably the closest way to get actual like R&D type stuff as an actual like one man band or small design shop kind of thing. Yep. And there's stuff that's, I think the way that it was relayed to me when I asked someone who actually had an SBIR at the time out at Maker Faire a couple years ago, and he said it's all about getting that first one. You kind of help out on someone getting, or while they're working on their SBIR, and then you're kind of on the radar, and then you can go and apply for it. And since they know your name, you're actually in the running instead of just some random dude, trying to vie for research.
Yep.
So that'd be cool, but like you said, I'm sure there's a bunch of pressure there and deadlines and everything else.
Yeah, all that sort of jazz, Yeah, like I would love to go, right, and I'm going to develop this, big, interesting project. And, well, that's just, there goes my video blog,
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And there might be NDAs and stuff like that in there, too. I remember the first time I was exposed to SBIRs was at the first conference I went to. I took a bus to Chicago and pretended I was in the media because I had a blog, which is a great idea, by the way, folks. Free entrance, at least it used to be. They kind of caught on to my game. But there was a presentation from a guy who was measuring the vibration of a Apache helicopter's rotors with he harvested the energy from the rotors, and then he measured the acceleration and the stress on the rotors, and then he beamed it back wirelessly. It was like really
cool.
Awesome stuff.
That's a really interesting project. Yeah.
But you wouldn't be doing a video blog if you were doing that, right?
No, exactly. It's that's the advantage of having a 9-to-5 job. You've got that 8 hours a day forced upon you to often do interesting shit with a big budget and a long lead time. It's just, it's forced upon you. So
assuming it's interesting and assuming it's only 8 hours, yes, that would be great.
Exactly. Then, exactly.
It's definitely like a grass is greener kind of thing. I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I miss that more than the human interaction thing. That was always fun. I enjoyed hanging out in the lab and just, shooting the shit with the colleagues, but...
I miss that now even. It's not that I just have a smaller team than I used to be on, but being on a big team is just nice because you have a lot of people to bounce ideas off of. So that's another nice thing. That's why I started doing meetups, really, because it's just now I'm on a small enough team that it's well, I love all my team members and I love the work that I do, but it's just when I'm trying to hash through an analog problem with a microcontroller guy, it's okay, well, let's start from the beginning. You know what? I'll go figure this out by myself.
Right.
And then when he wants to talk about code, it's I'm worthless for that. So, it's tough on smaller teams. But meetups are good. I like meetups.
I
gotta do it, man.
Start one.
I
know. I never did.
Your problem is
ass.
you don't drink beer. That's the real problem because that's the real excuse here. Is that I go to just drink beer, and the fact that fun people show up and talk about their projects it's just nice.
Yeah. All right, maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution is to actually start a meetup thing and interact with real humans for a change.
That'd be good. Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah.
I like that.
We'll see.
All right.
But there's already so many out there. I should just go,
You
I should just turn up.
You should get the hell out of your lab. The tough thing is that a lot of your stuff, right? You're at the lab all day, and then all the stuff's after work, but you want to go, spend time with your son, which is good, and your wife.
Well, exactly. There's family stuff after hours, so it eats into, I've got time pressures everywhere, even though,
right.
You know,
Well, and
I do
it's-
this full time. You know,
Well, and meetups too. I think the meetups so the meetup I throw at least. I mean, there's some people that have kids, but most of them are like, well, I can come to like one every couple months. You know, I can't be there every
Right.
time because they're
yeah.
just the same kind of thing. You know, it's just family stuff and stuff they want to be at and spend time with their kids, which is great.
Yep.
So trade-offs. You know how
I
it
know.
is.
Yep.
I don't. Someday maybe.
Right. Dude, I'm excited.
Yeah. What about? Oh, I know.
We've gone back to the moon.
Oh, that. Oh, I thought you were going to talk about
Oh,
your,
yeah. No.
your thing.
No, the moon.
The moon. Yes, the moon is cool. I like.
Not as cool as Mars, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
landing stuff anywhere in space is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just, I know, exactly. And the Chinese have done it. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well done.
good job, China. I love it just because I think I've said this on the show once before, and it's not going to be quite the same as the Cold War, but I kind of hope that there's like China's doing this? Oh, shoot,
Right.
U.S. should go back up too. You know, let's do some more stuff, guys. Come on, pile it on. You
Yep.
know, like, I mean, I know that the undercurrent of, not even the undercurrent, but just like the basis of the whole space race to start with was actually the Cold War, but
It was Cold War, yep.
yeah.
Yep.
You know, maybe eventually someone's going to be like, oh, what if China's working on missiles? You know, like,
They already have them, dude.
I know, but still, what if the U.S. is like, hey, let's go to the Mars. Let's go to Mars and take over. I don't know.
Exactly.
All I
Because
care
the
is
US
that-
should not go back to the moon. It's pointless. They've done it, 40 years ago. It's just, stupid to go back. Anyway, coincidentally, I'm reading Buzz Aldrin's new book, Mission to Mars,
Oh, yeah?
which is really good. Yep,
I'll have to
haven't
check that
finished
out.
it yet, but yeah, I'm reading it. Because he is, one of the leading proponents of going to Mars, and he's developed, this fantastic shuttle orbital system which just ferries things back and forth from Earth to Mars and Earth to the Moon and things like this, using practically no energy at all, just the gravity slingshots and
Oh, cool.
because this guy's really smart. It's not like he just walked on the moon. He has a PhD in lunar rendezvous. They used to call him Dr. Rendezvous. And, this guy's one of the leading experts on lunar, in orbital mechanics and, all that sort of jazz. Yeah.
That's cool.
So he's been pushing for this for the last, since he came back from the moon, really.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I can't say I follow it. I'll have to check out that book, though. That sounds like a good something to put on the Christmas
Mission
list.
to
kind of.
Mars by Buzz Aldrin.
Huh. Okay. I saw that there's been news about the that new. I mean, I've seen stuff trickle out about this as well, but like that plasma rocket, they kind of keep trickling that stuff out as well. With like a. I forget what it is. It's like there's like a source, and then there's like this high voltage net, and basically they kind of crap stuff out.
Are
the
you
back
talking
and-
about like an ion?
Yeah,
engine?
exactly. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
there's a probe at the moment that uses one of those prototype ion
yeah.
engines. I think it's.
But I keep seeing news releases about it, like, oh, that's going to get us there faster. My question
Yeah,
about that
right.
is
It's
because the whole basis of that is they keep accelerating by they keep pushing stuff out the back like a little bit at a time.
Yep.
Don't they have to slow down as well? Like they don't want to
Well,
just
they
like
don't. Well, they see that's the thing with Buzz's plan. They don't. These things don't slow down. They just keep going. Woof, shuttling to and from, and then you have another one that races up to it and docks with it, and then but it's still going real quick. So it's not so it's fully reusable. It just keeps shuttling back and forth and never stops.
Oh, that's cool. That's like a
using
like a
just
conveyor
the
belt almost.
gravity. Yeah, using practically no energy because it's just the gravity slingshots. You just have to do a few course corrections here and there occasionally, but
So it's like free
it's-
energy, right?
almost free energy. You just start at once, and the energy, and the
Free energy, all you
and
need
the
to do is,
energy
like,
of the planets
Be
take over.
a planet.
Yeah, you've got to be a big ass massy planet, and have a shitload of mass, and you
Sweet.
can send shuttles back and forth between Moon and Earth and Mars.
Yeah,
For
I love
free,
like
almost.
looking at like gravitational equations and being like, that's not all there is to it. Come on, guys. This is gravitational constant and yada yada. No, there's got to be other stuff in there. It's been a long
I'm sure
while
it's
for me.
incredibly complex.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Anyway.
that's cool though. I'll have to check out that
they've got-
book. But China, that's I saw they were doing. I mean, they said like putting people on the moon in 2025 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Had you heard about this lunar rover thing?
prior to them actually
Before
landing?
it happened, yeah. Before it
Not
happened.
really. No, you?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe an inkling like a year or two ago or something, but shit, they actually landed. What?
It is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's the first I heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like, Chinese media reports, right? You know, it's relatively closed and stuff like that in terms. I mean, they're reporting the results and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I wish I would have known about that. I would have been cheering. You know, if they would have had a video feed like the JPL did for the Mars thing.
Curiosity rover.
I could have watched it. You could have missed it, right? You could have been like, I'm going to an event, and then you could have missed it.
Rub it in.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And, of course, we'll get the nutters coming out saying it's all faked, you know.
Yeah, I heard you already have that, right?
Yeah. There's people come out of the woodwork.
Just ignore them. Don't feed the trolls. You know how it goes.
Yep.
Unless they're the trolls in the garbage room, then, you know.
Right.
Appease them with monitors and old broken copiers.
Right. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Anyway, have we got video from it yet?
I only
haven't
saw
seen any video. I just
the
crude animation.
Yeah.
I just saw a couple of stills tied together of it deploying from the ramp or something. But
yeah, that's tough because there's not really anything there to film it, right? And then you got to get all the power to beam it back and all that stuff. I mean,
yeah, because it's all faked. You know, it's really hard to fake that stuff. It's much easier to fake photos.
There you go. You're not helping, Dave. You're not helping at all.
Well, coincidentally, I just watched Capricorn 1 the other night.
What's
Have
that?
you ever seen Capricorn 1?
No.
Oh, you've never seen Capricorn 1?
No.
Oh, classic 1970s movie about faking the Mars landing.
Huh.
The US go to Mars, but they fake it. You know, they pull them out at the last second, and you know, from the capsule. And the whole idea is that the capsule just goes up there, and they fake the transmissions and things like that. So, pretty bad movie, but I was compelled to watch it. You know.
See, now I was watching First Contact this weekend, and I was telling my wife, I'm like, we should just name our first kid Zephram. You know, whenever we have a kid, we should name him Zephram. He's bound to find an alien civilization. So,
oh boy, yep.
I look at that as like just kind of like dreamscape. Obviously, like people like Elon Musk are way ahead of this kind of stuff, right? But I look at that kind of thing, right? In terms of like longevity of legacy, like that's the one. That's the one to shoot for right there. Finding the alien civilization. That's the one to shoot for.
Yep. That's it. I know. I'm very disappointed that SETI hasn't actually produced any results. I'm sure it would have. I was so sure it would have. After 20 years of operation or something. I'm bitterly disappointed about that.
What, like the what was it called? SETI, the one that used to like sit on your computer and crunch data, like that kind of thing, or
yeah. That's what I'm talking about. SETI. Yeah. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we should get Horowitz on, as in Horowitz and Hill. He's one of the principal engineers for SETI. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We should try and get him on. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we can talk about the mythical new book and why they haven't found any signals yet. I'm so sure they would have.
All right, here's the bet.
By that.
What do they find first?
What?
Aliens or third edition of Art of Electronics?
Right. Which one comes first?
I'm thinking aliens.
Yeah, right.
You just don't
Possibly
know.
Right.
You just don't know.
Yep. Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. I remember I used to have, and those kind of all stopped too. I remember I think it was like when I started in college, like 2000. Well, I started in 2001, so it must have been like 2002, 2003. There was all of these like use up your spare cycles on your computer to crunch data for SETI, crunch data for pharmaceuticals, for like finding cures for cancer.
So the big corporations can get rich. Yay.
Right, yeah. I think the focus was on the cure, not necessarily the money.
I think it was, but the money's a byproduct. Right?
It's in there somewhere, right? But yeah, I don't see that anymore. I mean, I'm sure it's still out there, but
yeah, probably.
I don't know if it's just because there's like focus on power consumption, or I mean, everybody had desktops.
Well, it's all bloody Bitcoin mining these days. People want to make a fortune Bitcoin mining.
That's true.
But it uses more. It costs more in energy than it does than profit to get it, unless you can steal your energy from your neighbor or something like that.
Right,
You
and
know?
there's still costs there. Yeah, I've been learning all about that stuff. Every time I see Martin Lorton, because he lives in Cleveland now. He comes to these meetups, and we meet up some other times as well. But yeah, he's all into Bitcoin. I'm like, I had nothing about that. I don't know anything about it, but
Yeah, I've got a Bitcoin account. I set it up and people donated. I've got like 0.5 Bitcoins or something.
Ooh,
You know?
look at that.
Yeah, I'm rich.
Mr. Fancy Pants Rich Man over here.
And I can check my account forever, so I got no idea. But yeah, people can donate using Bitcoins.
Well, let's see. What other topics do we have to hit on the internet in order to really get the full spectrum? We've got alien or faking the moon landing. We've got Bitcoin.
Well, nothing.
Kickstarter? Should we do Kickstarter?
We can't have a show without Kickstarter.
Right, we should probably do
So,
Kickstarter.
there's another smartwatch, and they pulled it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It had like a metal band. It looked kind of bogus. The
Right. I haven't watched the
Rock
video.
smartwatch.
It got to 40 grand of a 50 grand goal, and I don't know what the backstory
Basically,
is. Basically,
they asserted that it was like the prototype was just a rip-off of someone else. They just re-encased another watch in theirs.
Right. That sounds like the guy who tried to scam me, the lying bastard.
Yeah? What happened there?
I forget his name. There was a to-do on the forum. You know, he's doing smartwatches like this, right? It was on Indiegogo or something. I think his one didn't get on Kickstarter, so he put it on Indiegogo, and then he put it on some other site. And, you know, people were all screaming scam, you know, on the forum. Because I've got, you know, that section of the forum.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there is a section
stuff.
of the
yes, there is.
forum. That's actually really
to discuss.
That's better than us.
I think it's the place to be because you know you get people who know about this shit.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And
yeah,
better than you and me yapping on about it. So
right, yeah, exactly. You know, there's like on the forum, there's bound to be some expert in this aspect of manufacturing. You know, this particular product or this technology. You know, and they
like,
can just chime in and say, no, this is not possible. They can't do it. You know? Yeah, exactly.
We're going to machine 400,000 pieces in like 2 or 3 days, so we're cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they're going to cost a cent each. You know?
Exactly.
And people just Yeah, because you can't expect your average person who backs these things to know this stuff. You know? So it's so you can't blame them for getting scammed. You know, people like us who have this manufacturing experience, we know that. You know,
right? And
anyway, this guy
there's different levels of scam too, right? I mean, it's like you'll have this in a month versus maybe 2 years.
There's a huge difference between a genuine scam from the get-go that they just want to steal your money and not produce anything, and ones that are just clueless, you know, I can manufacture this, and, you know, no, you can't. You're a dickhead, you don't know what you're doing. You know? And, you know, so, yeah, that's the problem with crowdfunding these days is you get these people who it's so easy to do a render or something and come up with an idea and think you can manufacture it in China you just pay someone to do it, and you know,
nope.
And it just all falls apart. So, yeah, that's the issue. That's why I love how Kickstarter just stopped that crap where you have to have a real prototype. You can't just put a render on there and, you know, things like that. So I really like that.
Well, I've seen a really scammy Kickstarter, and I don't know if you want to talk about this at all.
Yeah, well, let's go.
It's the what is it called? It's the microcurrent gold.
Microcurrent.
I believe that's the one. Is that the one, Dave?
It's the one. It's about to start. I'll talk about that in a minute. I want to finish my smartwatch story.
Okay.
I didn't finish my story.
Okay,
I like
sorry.
finishing my stories.
I was just rushing so much to get to the punchline there.
Oh boy. So anyway, and the first time I saw this guy's smartwatch, I didn't think it was scam, but I thought there's no, he said it was this thin, it was so thin, and I've got experience in researching manufacturing watches, right?
Yeah.
And I just instantly went, no way he can make it that thin. I think that's bullshit. He wanted it like 5 millimeters thin. I just know, you couldn't with the battery and all the stuff he was going to put in. You just couldn't do it.
Battery alone is usually the killer there, right?
Exactly, right. And there's all this other stuff he wanted in there, and I just said no, you can't do it. And anyway, this the whole thread, I didn't follow it after that.
Yeah.
And so this guy contacted me, and because people were saying, not so good things about him on the forum, right? And he came to me, he didn't ask me to, take it down or anything, but he told his side of the story and it sounded all genuine and everything, how people have got it wrong, and, he sounded genuine enough, and, so I posted on the forum that, hey, this guy's contacted me and, he sounds genuine enough and, give him a break kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, and then it turns out that he created a fake account on the forum and posted a thing, my son bought one of these smartwatches, and I think it's great, and, and he completely lied his ass,
Yeah.
And then I contacted him and said, hey, what about this post on the forum? Can you explain this? And he goes, well, no, I had nothing to do with it. I got evidence the guy, it was him.
Yeah, same IP address.
They just lied his ass off. And
the one thing that doesn't change in 2013, we're still basically the same as we were in 2013 BC, right? I mean, like,
humans are still the same. They still lie and cheat, and
people are still people, for good and for bad. I mean, it's not just the liars and the cheaters. It's also there's good people out there, but
Yep.
Yeah, confidence scams are just as old as they ever were. So speaking of confidence scams, let's hear about yours, Mr.
I've got one
Kickstarter
going.
man.
I'll probably do it as soon as this show ends. My Kickstarter campaign for the new microcurrent gold has been approved.
Yay.
It was going to take 7 days or something like that to approve.
7 days.
Long time to approve these hardware ones, right? Because the hardware ones are subjected to more scrutiny than the regular ones, and. But no, they approved it in 2 days, and it helps when the guy who approved it's a fan, so it's good.
Yeah,
that's
nice. Hey,
yeah, excellent. So thank you very much for approving that.
Yeah,
and so I'll probably release it after the show ends. I'm going to have a short campaign. It'll probably finish at the end of this year, so it'll only run for the next 2 weeks, and I'll see how it goes. Yeah,
man, I'm excited. I mean, we could, like you. I think you made a really good point about. You're always talking about Kickstarter and stuff like that, but also it's good to just have your hands in there to see the system, even if it doesn't work out. That's,
I'm always talking about it on the show, so I figure, well, I may as well use it so I have some first-hand experience and I can, talk with a bit of authority on the subject, I guess.
Yeah,
that I've actually run my own campaign.
That's great.
Because I wanted to support the Australian one possible again, but I thought because, I talk about Kickstarter all the time, I thought, I'll give it a go. It'll probably blow up in my face.
That's good to think positive, right?
Or form.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to think positive. Yeah. Shit always does. Murphy gets me every time. So anyway, I've got it ready to go, and the funny thing is that the guy who approved it, gave me all these recommendations for how to, jazz it all up and all this sort of stuff, and it's like, look, I just wanted to slap my campaign on Kickstarter, I just wanted to slap it up there and, and get on with other things, and I guess they're so used to people, put in months of effort into their campaigns and I stressed enough over it, let alone spend another month, working out 20 different levels and stretch goals and bloody, I just...
Well, there's bigger stakes too, right? I mean, like when Jerry was talking about it, it's like that was like they needed to hit a certain level for getting tooling for these chips. Like that was a big deal.
It's a different game. Yeah, it's a different game to what I'm doing.
Right. And so we were talking about it before the show too, like how there was you actually are charging more for the initial unit, which I think is really a cool idea. I mean, that's different than usual. Whereas, like
it's
especially
different
like
to
Jerry.
usual. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people expect the early units to be, beta units, and there'll be something wrong with them. So, they should pay less, or you should encourage people, the early backers, to get in. So that's the mentality. So there's two different mentalities there: charge less for early units, or charge more for early units. And I've decided to charge a token $6 more or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But a token amount more for early units, you're guaranteed to get them early, because I've got the parts, and.
Right, which is another interesting point, too, from the supply chain stuff. You mentioned the
supply chain's been a bitch.
Yeah. Well, what about it?
Because I'm using really expensive precision resistors in here that hardly anyone holds in stock. So I've bought up like the world's supply of these precision resistors. I've had to order them. Before the campaign, I've had to put, quite a few $1,000s down to buy parts in anticipation that I'm going to do this run.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I don't want to be left holding the bag, right? Because the problem is, right, okay, there might be 1,000 on DigiKey or Mouser, right?
Yeah, that might be
they
a
might
reel,
have them
right?
in stock. Yeah. There might be one reel there if you're lucky, right? And there was like a few hundred of these, right, on Mouser, I think it was,
like
right?
cut tape
They're the
or
only ones
something.
who had stock, right? Yeah, they were on cut tape, right? Actually, they had that wrong. Complained to Mouser. They actually said they come on reels of 100, but they don't.
Reels of
Their
100? I've
information
never
was
heard
wrong.
of that level
No,
before.
I know it was cut tape, but it's on their website. Yeah, reels. If you buy 100, it comes on a reel, and no, it doesn't. You dickheads.
That'd be a tiny reel.
With hindsight, I could have bought a Mouser reel, which they take the cut tape and they charge you like $7 or $8.
Yeah, to re-reel it.
They re-reel it for you. Yeah, both Mouser and DigiKey have that. Anyway, right? See, the risk is, right, even though they might have stock now, a couple of months, if you run a couple of week or 1 month Kickstarter campaign, okay, it finishes, you've got the money. Oops, you go back and try and buy it and you find that somebody's snapped up those parts and now they're 12 weeks lead time.
Oh, and
you're screwed.
I would buy them up and then I'd sell them to you at a 2x or 3x markup.
Right.
I mean, that's the real business opportunity here, folks. Try and find out someone's key components. This is the shady. I mean, this kind of shady stuff does happen. Like
it does.
Yeah, it's an intense game.
Well, I found a local guy in Australia who claimed he could get stock of these switches that I had a hard time getting.
Yeah,
and he wanted to charge like 3 times the price for them.
Oh, was he a broker?
Yeah, he's a broker here in Australia. Yeah,
brokers are like a level one step above lawyer in my book.
Right,
and it's not much, Like most brokers could probably be a lawyer. And lawyers do useful stuff sometimes. So I'm just saying,
But you've got to build that. You've got to think about that stuff when you're doing a campaign like this. If you're
any
waiting
production
to
run.
Any production run, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I've had to snap up some of these key parts. Otherwise, I knew I'd be left holding the bag because some of them are 12 weeks lead time.
Right.
From the manufacturer.
Or you just got to plan on the 12-week lead time, right? And that's got its own pains associated because...
Yeah, but that's a pain in the ass. I don't like doing a Kickstarter campaign where, I'm going to deliver in June.
Right.
Right,
yeah, I mean...
that sucks.
Well, and not only that, like you know how it is, and I know how it is, like, you get a 12-week lead time on a part, by the time the part shows up, and you get it into a unit, and you get it tested, you've already got 3 or 4 more revs of the board done already, right? It's like you got all these... Yeah,
right.
And then you got all these
you've changed your mind.
You got all these different
changed.
levels of the design, and they're all, like... And just keeping track of that stuff is terrible. I know that people say you should lock down the design, but come on, we're hardware people. We know that there's still you're still going to be prototyping new things, even when you have a quote unquote lockdown design. You're going to be trying out new stuff. You're going to mess something up. Like, I mean, it's just there's just
well, that's what happened with me, right?
Yeah.
I've got my panel, right? I ordered my production panel. I'm happy with the quality from this new PCB supplier, and and it all works. It's fine, but I'd like that hole 0.2 millimeters bigger because maybe there's not enough margin in the connector and that switch wobbles just a little bit. I'd like to tighten up that hole a little bit. I'd like to just move that silk screen a couple of millimeters that way. There's always a tweak.
Yeah. Well, and then you got to retool and there's costs associated. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Can I ask you about panel stuff? Because I've been thinking about this for other...
Yeah.
So what are the cost differences in So like panelizing a board versus going to someone like a PCB cart, right? So say you go to the PCB cart to start with, right? Because you use them, I've used them.
Yep.
But I've never done panels with them. What would be the difference, like, or any vendor really, where they actually cut out the boards and just send you, a big wrapped up pack of cut boards versus actually getting panelized stuff? Is that just for the assembly side? Is there any cost difference?
Just for the assembly side. Cost difference, I've found not a huge amount, but it does vary based on the routine that particular manufacturer, the algorithm, the cost algorithm that manufacturer uses to work out the cost on their online cart system. But ultimately, all things being equal, the cost should be the same, right? Because there's a large panel. What's the standard panel size? 16 inches by 12. I forget the exact panel size, right? Yeah. But when they manufacture that board, regardless of whether or not it's a panel
Right.
Like, you've given them the panel file, or whether it's an individually routed board, they will try and fit that on their larger panel. So even if you give them a panel like I do, which is 10 boards, 5 by 2 rows, but that isn't the size of their panel. Their panel is bigger than that. So they'll try and fit maybe 2 or 4 of my panels onto their one big production panel.
Right. Right.
So, and you're paying for the production panel size, regardless of which way you go.
Gotcha.
But
and tooling's based on that as well. Right.
And tooling, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, you're going to pay for tooling if you have to get 4 of your panels onto one of their panels, you're paying for one of their panels at least, right?
Yes, but tooling is the same either way, really. You're going to pay your tooling costs pretty much either way. And there's 2 ways to do it, especially with PCB cart as an example, right? When you go through the shopping cart for your PCB cart website, it asks you, do you want a single unit or do you want a panel? Now, you've got to be careful here, because their panel option means they do the panelization.
Oh,
right?
really? I didn't know that.
They take your single board design and they will panelize it for you, right? Yeah. And that's usually not what you want to do. Usually you want control over what your panel is going to look like and how it's going to
right. Well, like all the test point, like all that stuff you put into your panel, right? That's a great example.
The testing stuff, right?
Because you get all that tag type stuff out there, and
yep.
You can't do that if they're doing it.
And your fiducials and your routing paths and where your breakout tabs are and all sorts of stuff. So I never let them panelize it, right? So when I'm putting even my panel through their shopping cart, I will select single unit, right? Individual board. So as far as they're concerned, my panel is an individual board.
Oh, that's an interesting tip. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So... that's the difference, but it does vary between manufacturers.
So then you put in like an 18 by 12 or whatever the standard size is. You put that as your one board size, effectively.
Yes, yeah. When you enter, I go. It's a single board, and the board size is 400 millimeters by 300 millimeters.
Oh, that's cool.
Because exactly.
That's a good idea.
And then I can guarantee that they're going to manufacture that exactly how I want it. Yeah. Take for an example, I just got I've got a thermal oven in, right? This
you got it in?
Piece, yes, it's here. I just shot some video. I'm going to shoot more after this.
Oh, nice.
And it comes from the PCB Pool Company, who were one of the originators of the whole shared panel concept.
Okay.
Right? And they started that 20 years ago almost. It's how you lower your costs by sharing the panel with everyone else.
Yeah.
Which is par for the course these days, but hey, they were one of the first to do it. Anyway, so I they gave me a sample board, right? And they wanted to give me my microcurrent as an example board so that, to show their process and all that sort of thing. So I said, okay, and they didn't want to do my panel, so they just wanted to so I just let them panelize it, right?
Okay.
And they gave me a 4-panel arrangement, so it's actually 2 by 2. And the breakout tabs are right on the sides of the board, like they weren't in the corners like I had it and where I want it. So those boards are going to look ugly because they've got the breakout tabs on the side.
Oh, so the real rough edges and everything. Oh, because
that's right, because
you use it as the mechanical side of things.
Yeah, I use it as the front panel. Exactly.
Right.
So that's the, little traps like that when you let the manufacturer panelize it for you. You've got no control over that sort of stuff. So, I never do that. That's just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So, although, if you don't care, right, if you don't want to waste time panelizing it yourself and you just go, look, I don't care if this board has 20 breakout tabs and it's got rough edges and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
If you don't care, which sometimes you don't, right, you just want to get this board made.
Right.
Then you can just let them do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and for a lot of prototype type stuff, it's just going to be sitting on your bench anyways. So,
exactly. Or
option.
even for an actual production unit, right? If you just got mounting holes and the board's going in a box, and you don't care that it's got rough edges and where the breakout tabs are, and you don't care about anything else, just let them do it. That's fine sometimes. Although, as I've explained, you've got to talk to your assembly house, because if your assembly house, if they do a big panel that doesn't fit through your assembler's pick and place machine, unlikely but possible, then that can be a trap. So
so you didn't you and I hadn't talked about it. Why did you end up getting an oven? Because I remember you were always so I'll just have my...
Oh, they wanted to send me one. So I said, okay, cool.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They approached me. I've always wanted one. I've looked at them and, how often will I use it, and you've got to keep the paste
right?
in the fridge and, all that sort of stuff. It's like, eh.
Well, in another break from tradition, I did watch your mailbag video.
You did?
I did.
Why? You were bored shitless, were you?
Yeah,
You're sick of doing your contextual videos.
Yeah, right? Sick of watching myself.
Right.
But I saw that Tyco press that I actually got one of those too from Jonathan.
Yeah, we talked about that on the show.
Yeah. Those things are nice. I like them. So you'll
it's it's not as good as like a proper dispensing, a vacuum,
like a little
pressure dispensing pump, that you have a foot pedal and you go and it squirts out
exactly.
An individual amount. This is just you have to rely on your finger,
but it's way
human
cheaper.
Interaction. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we did talk. I forgot we talked about it on the show though. So already once.
Oh yeah, we did. We talked about it a couple of months back, and they sent me one, and
cool.
I'll try it out. I haven't tried it out with an actual syringe yet, but with this reflow oven, they gave me like a paste is in a tub, so you sort of
like
scoop it
tub.
out, you put it on, and you use the squeegee, and so they give you a free stainless steel stencil, with the board,
cool.
and which is nice. So,
fancy. Look at you, man. You're like a cottage industry.
Right. Well, so I've got a Kickstarter level where, I'll hand produce the first 10 and they'll be done in my thermal oven. And if you want to pay more and you want to get them like right away,
This board was personally sweared at by Dave Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
This board was touched up with a soldering iron on Dave Jones's bench.
Yep. Exactly.
This board was tossed on the ground in frustration and stomped on with Dave's boot.
That's funny. And I could, and I had so many. Like I asked on the forum and on Twitter, what perks should I do for the Kickstarter campaign? And people come up with all sorts of weird and wonderful ideas, and they weren't. I see campaigns all the time with all these weird perks in them, and 20 million different variations, and I just threw my hands up and went, oh God. It's just a bloody microcurrent board,
Yep.
So, yep.
Well, what's next is you have to get a CNC routing machine, for cutting your own boards. I don't know if those work in ovens. Cutting
my own boards.
Because you don't have the solder
mask.
Yeah,
but you've got to get a decent one, and then it doesn't do nice plate-through holes and doesn't do solder mask and all that, it's just, no. I think they're a bit of a fail. They're okay for really quick in-house, rough
topside type stuff, big analog stuff. That's what I always used them for. Is it's actually great for that. If you're doing a simple op amp circuit, I can crank out a board in 2 hours, no problem.
Exactly. If you're doing a one-off test jig for production or something, you're only going to make one or two of them.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Right. And it's and the other thing too is like if you're starting to get into like serious, you're not getting too serious because you still have, you're not having like solder mask or anything like that. And you can have leakage problems, but if you're getting into serious components, you're not going to get anything bigger than an SOIC. You're not going to get the package type that you really need because first off, they just don't make them as much as they used to, and second off, there's all the parasitic effects of like if you go to dip package, you get tons more lead inductance and everything else in there too, and so and cost and yada yada yada. So it's great for that kind of thing. I still haven't tried that on my CNC machine. I need to do that, but another on the to-do list.
Right. I was just looking at my hand-built. The one I've got in the Kickstarter video is my hand-soldered prototype, right? And the soldering quality just looks shit. Compared, there's nothing beats a nice reflowed board.
Yeah.
Just the quality is. I could really, if I did it under the microscope and I really took my time and paid attention, I can get decent quality boards that approach the quality of a, reflowed board. But, this one I just slapped together, I didn't even do it under the microscope. And, whack, and I got my old 20-year-old dodgy solder and I just, You know, it's
Right,
like
yeah, and you
really
get the lumpy
slapdash
solder pads and everything else like that.
Yep,
Whereas,
yep.
if you're using solder paste, you're gonna get not just the right amount, but close to the right
and
amount.
And you get little dags as you pull the soldering iron away. You know, you get those little dags coming out. You know, and it's really ugly. You know.
Yeah.
And I probably should, do the reflow thing more often. It just
maybe
produces
with this
a
oven,
nicer
maybe
result.
even if you do that, you could always just touch it up, put it back in the oven, and have it get it to the point of reflow, right? And douse it with douse it in flux or something.
Right. Oh boy, but always, it's just look, I'll just hand solder this one, because you're lazy.
It's just
right?
one. Oh, I need another. It's just two.
I'll just exactly.
Where's that intern?
Anyway, I hope it works, and I'm going to use lead-free solder because they gave me a tub of lead-free solder paste. So,
fancy. Well, that's
it's
all
going to be lead-free. So, yeah,
I'm sure that'll be good blog fodder, right? That'll be
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. So, coming right up after this, so I could be swearing this afternoon.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, because the bloody thing doesn't work.
Right.
But anyway, it's not a proper thermal oven. It's a toaster oven with a proper control, a separate controller that actually looks pretty schmick. The external controller looks
Is it just like
good,
a PID control kind of thing, or what is it?
It's a little
like a set point, and then it shows you what it actually is.
PID controller box, yep, and it learns the oven. So you put the temperature sensor in there, and you can put it in any oven, and then it's got a learn button. So you press learn, and it learns the profile of the oven, and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's not, it's just a radiant oven. It's not. I don't think it's a convection oven, so it doesn't circulate the hot air,
Right.
So there's possibilities of getting hot spots and things like that on your board. So, it's not a pro quality. But, hey, you go to eBay and you pay $300 for one of those, cheap-ass Chinese reflow ovens, right, that claim to be a proper, they've got, like, buttons and LCD on the front that draws the profile
it's the same thing,
and all
right?
that. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just, they've got, it's a couple of heater elements, and they get hot spots in your boards, half your board doesn't work, and they're just pretty crusty, So you get what you pay for either way, really.
Yeah, when you start getting into that bigger equipment stuff, it definitely does start to show pretty significantly.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, it's more than good enough. I'm sure this will work, fairly well, and I've got a high level of confidence in it anyway.
Good.
So, yeah. Give it a go.
Good stuff, man. What about robots? You seen any of these robots?
Google are,
Yeah.
they're going to control the world, right? They're going to start Skynet and
Yeah. Well, that's the I think that's the fear. That's the overall fear.
right.
But no, I don't think so. I mean, they bought 7. They started out with 7 companies, and then the big one was they bought Boston Dynamics, which is the one that does the Big Cat and Atlas and Petman and all those, the ones that actually are really creepy. Like watching robots walk for me is just surreal and creepy.
Yeah, it's just yep.
So yeah, they bought Boston Dynamics. I think it's gonna be really interesting. I mean, I have a friend that works there actually, and he didn't tell me anything, obviously, but just kind of thinking about. That's such a radical shift because Boston Dynamics was like this. We talked about SBIR grants, right? They have a bunch. They had a bunch of SBIR and DARPA grants and stuff like that. And going from that to being like that's like going from being a dancing monkey to being like that's like the monkey gets adopted by Daddy Warbucks, right? It's like, which is I guess that's probably not a bad. That might be a bad analogy, but
right.
It'll be interesting to see what the Goog does with them.
And how much the Goog?
The Goog.
The Goob?
Yeah, the Goog.
Goog.
The Google.
The Goog. Yeah. I haven't heard that before.
I just refer to them sometimes like that.
Oh, so that's your term. Is it going to catch on?
I doubt it, no.
The Goog.
No.
Right. Okay. So how much did they pay for it?
They were private, so I don't think it was I don't think they had to tell anyone.
Right. So it's not publicly disclosed. But Google are a public company, so they have to disclose how much they paid for it.
No.
Unless they hide it in some slush fund.
You don't have to. No, when you buy someone, you don't have to tell. It's only when you're.
No, but it's got to go on the books because Google are a public company. They have to say we spent X amount of dollars acquiring this company.
Yeah,
it's got to come out eventually.
True.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works here and over there. I mean,
yeah, I would know. I think you're right about that. That's actually I didn't think about that because I always think about like public companies getting acquired. They always kind of splash it all over the headlines.
Oh, right, yeah.
But
the Boston Dynamics are under no obligation to tell anyone how much they were bought for, but because they were bought by a public company, well,
yeah, maybe that comes out later.
You can go in and audit their books, you know.
Yeah.
But it'll probably come out in next year's financial thing, so you can't find out now, you know.
Yeah, they can bury that stuff sometimes though too.
They can. There are ways to bury that. Yep.
Either way, I'm sure it was a hefty chunk.
But
yeah.
They've got like $50 billion in cash or something, so I'm sure it's a drop in the bucket. You know.
Yeah, I don't know their financials, but
right.
Who cares? I mean, honestly, it's a good thing. It's interesting from a robotics perspective, because where do you really go with robotics, right? I mean, I was thinking about where all the markets are. I mean, military is one that DARPA works on and Boston Dynamics was working on, but then I think like industrial, but those weren't necessarily like the kind of robots that Boston Dynamics were working on. And it's not really what Google's known for. And then I think like farming, like that's a big one for like 3D robotics, like DIY drones, Chris Anderson, all them. They're big on farming because that actually is a very practical application, surveying, that kind of stuff. But again, not their really wheelhouse. So, I just wonder where do robotics go next? I mean, they could take over a lot of jobs, but it's just a matter of which ones do we want them to take over? Which ones make sense, really?
Well, see, these are the more humanoid, autonomous type robots, rather than the, as you said, like the car factory automation ones that have been around for 30 years. I mean, they're just par for the course in any high tech manufacturing plant, really. So
this would be like rescue operation. I mean, I still think of them as, it's hard to tell because, you look at this as like, it's hard to look beyond what already exists. It's like, oh, well, they're like these humanoid type robots. Do they go and save people? Do they go and kill people? Like,
Well, see, the thing is, they're still not smart enough and good enough to do a lot of that stuff. I mean, there's always, there's the bomb disposal robots and you can send in power plants, but they're always human controlled via remote control. You know, they're always sort of, there's an operator behind it.
Right.
But the fully autonomous ones that can, make decisions on their own and do stuff like that, they're still not there, I don't think.
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, I honestly, when I think about Google and I think about robotics, the things that I'm most interested for Google and robotics are, the kind of the collision of data and I guess it's, when you look at a robot, it's really an intelligent machine control, right? The stuff that I'm most interested for Google for robotics is the autonomous car stuff. I mean, honestly, I couldn't give a crap if they stopped everything else and just worked on that. I mean, that would be
right.
That would be the best thing, I think.
That'd be cool, but I don't see that going anywhere in the next 20 years in terms of fully autonomous cars.
Really? I do. I think that's...
No, but there'll be lots of augmentation of human control. Like there'll be lots of collision avoidance stuff. Real-time camera. It'll stop you veering off the road. It'll stop you doing head-on collisions and all. It'll, if it knows you're about to have a head-on collision because you've fallen asleep at the wheel and you're merging into the other lane, then it'll
right. Okay,
save
I do agree with that.
Stuff.
I do agree with that. But I think that they'll actually try and take it beyond that too. I mean, I think that's... But
they will try, but there's just so many issues involved in it. It's just not going to be regulated in the next 20 years. I can't see there being approval for automated cars driving on the...
Well, my standard response to that,
stuff.
Dave, is if they let some of these idiots that they let on the road now, I'll take a robot any friggin' day.
Yeah.
I'll take.
No, but it's right. Somebody's got to sign off on this shit.
I know.
Right,
well,
and everyone wants to cover their ass.
They
right,
do.
That's your problem.
That is
right there.
It's when technology encounters the real world, right? It's like it's a lot of things like that, right? I mean, like Google Glass. Seems like a great idea, but then it's like, well, what happens when you actually get humans involved? It's like, okay, well, it's just a collision of emotions and fear and everything else too.
Right.
So yeah, no, I do agree with that, but it's the one I want the most from Google. I don't know what this other stuff would be, though. Like, especially the Boston Dynamics stuff. I mean, I don't think they're going to be... I don't think I'm going to see Big Dog trotting down the street at any time soon, like...
Right.
And I don't think they're going to keep doing military contracts either. I think they'll probably move on to other stuff.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
No, but there's always big money in military. They're not going to turn down the big money.
I guess so. I don't know.
Although I guess now that they're owned by Google, they don't have to because Google can provide the money.
That's what I meant. Like the dancing monkey wants to, he needs the money, right?
Right.
From the crowd or the, but like this is now they're funded. Yeah. It's like they can. I mean, because that's the thing. Like I look at like Boston Dynamics alone, right? That is a very, very concentrated group of talent. And if you look at how a lot of Silicon Valley companies do acquisitions. It's for the technology, but more often it's for the core talent. Finding people that are just really, really good, and I think that's probably what that was. So,
possibly.
And then it's like, well, what do you do next?
Almost certainly.
So there must be something brewing in Larry Page's head.
Well, they'll probably just let them go and do what they've been doing, except now they have more money and more freedom. Probably.
Yeah, that's the best you can hope for, really. I mean, that's kind of the dream with Google. I think it's kind of changed a little bit from how they started out with like the 20% time stuff, but whatever. Right. I mean, if it advances the field of robotics, if they're actually doing research in a practical context, that's a net positive for humanity, I think.
Well, I've been speaking to some Google employees recently who will remain nameless, and they're pretty much, all of them are saying the same thing. Google's not what it used to be. It's not the fun place it used to be.
Right.
It's been bogged down in a lot of corporate BS now.
Yeah, well, they're getting big, and that's kind of the problem that I have with a lot of, okay, so Google bought a robotics company. That's cool. What did they start out as again? They started as a search company, and it's like, and I even look at like I said, Google Glass, right, like stuff like that. Anytime you just have big corporate conglomerate type of things, because that's really what Google is now. Is they're a conglomerate? It's like you just lose focus on the things that you're really good at. For better and worse, right? I mean, like they do other cool things, but
that's why Google are good at letting the companies they buy do their own thing,
right?
And that's a smart way to do it, because that look, if we try and direct what they're doing, we're just going to screw it up because we have no idea about bloody robotics. We just bought them because we think they're cool.
Yeah. Right, yeah, we see a future here, and we have enough cash to be able to do that kind of thing.
Exactly. So, we have to spend our cash somewhere.
That is a best case scenario. If that really, if companies actually do that, I think, why wouldn't you? I mean, if you have a core of experts,
it's always the best way to do it. Yeah. And they're passionate and they've got ideas. Just let them go with it. Just fund them and let them go.
Yeah,
give them the freedom
them,
to do it.
Give them feedback, that kind of thing. That is the best case corporate structure. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if it's realistic, especially with public companies, but.
Well,
we can dream.
I know. Well, these things are all subsidized, right? It's going to be subsidized by Google's ad revenue. That's right. All these companies are, right? Boston Dynamics isn't going to make a profit, right?
No, they're a loss center. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's
what do you do?
Well, you hope that the accountants don't get to them before they come up with. I mean, honestly, that's what it comes down to, right? You look at big companies. Often they're run by lawyers and accountants, and it's like, again, for better or for worse, right? They need to maintain profitability. They need to be able to make money on existing technology so they can build new technology. It's just kind of the reality of research or of companies.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why you just hope Google keep making their ad money, and so that they can, pour money, so they don't have to worry about the profitability of the companies that they buy, right? Of these, other little niche-y fun companies they buy.
That's right, folks. That's why you shouldn't hit skip
subsidized
when you watch the ads before Dave's videos. If you do that, you're now hurting Boston Dynamics. Way to go, people. Come on. Yeah. Watch that dumb ad. Oh, advertising.
Well, let's talk about that, with the whole Google Plus YouTube fiasco, right? Let's talk about, boycotting Google and all this sort of stuff, and well, let's not go there.
No,
anyway.
No, definitely not.
Can we go back to manufacturing?
Yes.
In this case, do-it-yourself home manufacturing, because we have an example of possibly the worst soldering job you've ever seen, folks.
Oh,
have you seen this one?
Yeah, I have, and I felt bad for this. I mean, well, I don't feel bad for him, but I don't know if he's gotten a lot of ire already. But yeah, let's pile on, I guess. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Well. A guy who's selling, like a ham radio guy, I think he is. He's selling these kits, right, to do some ham radio, Idiomatic kit or something.
Yeah.
You know, does some ham radio thing. I don't know, CW thing.
Yeah.
And some guy bought his kit, right, and then sent it back, saying it doesn't work, and I had an expert electrician check it and build it, and it was professionally built, and it doesn't work, and blah, you're a dick. I don't know. I didn't follow the exact story, but he complained that why this thing didn't work, and, well, it's obvious why it didn't work. Oh, my God, just look at the pictures.
Oh,
guys,
man.
It's a dog's breakfast.
Yeah, and that's why you read the directions,
man.
really. I mean, like, I watch a video on soldering, or I mean, I got to be fair here. I mean, like, when I started out, I did not. My soldering was not pretty.
Oh, sure. I think that this guy, the guy who sold it to him, he, explains that he understands that some people, hey, if this is your first board, I can understand that you're going to do a crap job. Right. But this guy apparently got really aggro about it. The customer, right, got really aggro about it in some way, shape, or form, and that's what he didn't like. He didn't like the fact that it was a bodged job. Right.
Yeah, he violated the rule, be good to each other, and
exactly.
He was not very nice. So yeah, that's.
And this is one of the reasons why I got out of the kit business, right? Is because you'd get shit like this.
That's exactly.
Right?
When I was reading this, I was thinking about that, and this is why I'm not in the kit business. And talking to
because you get
Jeff about it too.
You get people threatening to sue you, and I've had people threaten to sue me, and I'm gonna, report you to Silicon Chip magazine because you're a fraud and a scammer, and your projects don't work, and you just don't give a shit, and go away, dude.
Yeah.
And I've had people ship it back and say you demand that you fix it. Under warranty, and stuff like that. And you'll find that they've done, I've checked everything and it's your design is just shit and wrong. I demand that you fix it and correct it. And you find that they've soldered the 5-volt regulator in backwards, right? And it's like,
that's a tough. That's tough, man. I mean, it's like when the default response is anger. Because I again, to be serious and to be to be throw myself on the altar. It's like I found myself wanting to shout at vendors, being like, "What's the matter with this piece of crap?" Like that, and then. Or no, I guess it's not even outside vendors, but I guess it's internal people like firmware, right? Like when I develop a piece of hardware and someone comes to me and says, this doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, it's the firmware. Come on, it's someone else. It's like that is a good chance to take a step back, take a deep breath, and then go check all of the voltages, and then go check make sure everything's in there right. Because nothing's worse. I mean, this is a little different, but nothing's worse than going to your firmware guy and being like, you broke this, and then him going off and 2 days later being nope, sorry, you're missing a cap there,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's good to have measured responses. So that's unfortunate that this happened.
Right. But I think this guy came out swinging, and that's why it just rubbed the kit guy up the wrong way, you know. And you can't just come out swinging, especially when you've got when you're swinging with dog poo. As this guy was.
That's right. Yes.
Right.
Do not swing with dog poo.
It's a proverbial pile of of excrement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now when I thought,
and there's lies involved. The guy claims he lied his ass off, and as I talked about earlier in the show.
See, now I wonder about that too. Like I was thinking about this, as the guy selling the kit. At a certain point, I know it's not profitable to do this in general, but at a certain point, when someone's asking you to manufacture something or to fix something for them, isn't it better to just be like, click refund and then send them a video of you setting their board on fire? I mean, like, I think about that. I think about that with a lot of stuff, like in terms of like the cost of repair. A lot of times, unless you're making something,
I've totally done that. When I was doing this stuff, look, I'll give you your money back. Just
just go away.
Yeah, just go away.
Yeah, if you want to try again later, try again, but you only get one more try.
Especially if they're giving me aggro, right?
Yeah.
I mean, normally, I'll, fix up small, genuine issues and stuff like that if the people are friendly. But if they're giving me aggro, I'll just refund their money and tell them to piss off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think about it even in like a, there's a certain point you have to cross in order to make it viable to repair something, right? I think about like stuff that has like a BOM cost of like $50, $100, try and find a technician that can, unless you have enough returns where you already have the problem classified, try and find a technician that can, find the problem and fix the problem in a shorter amount of time in terms of dollars, right? If he charges $50 an hour for repair, try and find someone who can repair it fast enough in order to make it worthwhile. At a certain point, you just say, screw this, this thing isn't expensive enough, and you either just replace it with another unit or
that's what you do. Or you refund it and tell them to sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
if you want to buy another one, buy another one. You really
need to have a high enough margin product to actually have repair built into it, and it's a tough problem.
And that's the thing with any, when you've got any hardware company like this, you have to be willing to simply replace product, right? Especially, if there's a shipping issue and they claim they don't get it, right? That, a small percentage of people might be lying to you, I didn't get it, right? And you just have to be willing to eat that, right? Look,
10% off the top.
Don't bother. It's not worth spending your time arguing on email. You just ship them another one. Right. Sorry,
And that's why you price it into the beginning, right? You also price in that 10%. Yeah, you got to do that kind of stuff. I always think about that in terms of like, like really high scale manufacturing, right? Like cell phones and stuff like that. They must, if you have an actual fallout on the line, you're not going to fix any of that stuff. That's going right in the trash bin, and you just gotta eat that cost. You got to keep manufacturing more phones in order to get the, to make up for the yield you lost. There is a very defined point before you actually start fixing stuff, and it's, consumer products is not it. Those go right in the hopefully recycling, probably the landfill. Yeah.
Yep.
That's why
it's just not worth
and that's why Six Sigma exists.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If people don't know, explain Six Sigma.
What's that?
If people don't know about Six Sigma, please explain it.
Oh, so basically it's like I had green belt training too, and now you're asking me to define it.
You're a green belt?
Yeah.
Dude. It's Six Sigma, like it's 1 in a million.
Yeah,
right?
basically.
Your failure that comes off production is 1 in a million.
6
or
standard deviations away from the mean.
6 standard deviations.
Right. So if you have a voltage regulator coming off your chip manufacturing line, it's supposed to be 5 volts, and your standard deviation is 0.1 volts, then you only have one. Actually, that's not it, is it? I guess it would be only like so many units that are outside of the 6th standard deviation, because you're going to have a normal distribution. Oh God, we're talking statistics here, but you're going to have a normal distribution, and you'd be out. The outliers then are outside the 6 standard deviations. I hope that's right.
What it basically comes down to is that there's a very, very extremely low likelihood that you're going to ship out failed units.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and you do everything to try and reduce that,
minimize it.
Yeah,
I can remember. I'm not a green belt, but I've done courses on this.
Well, I'm obviously not either,
Dave. Right? Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
And and they said, I went to one course and they said Six Sigma is bullshit. It's impossible, to meet Six Sigma quota. And I put my hand up and said, sorry, no, it's not. If you do 100% testing, you can guarantee Six Sigma or better. And he just went, no, and it just, it's people think it's impossible to, you're always going to get failures in production. Not if you 100% test every aspect of it before it goes out the door.
Well, you'll have fallouts earlier if you do more testing too. That helps as well.
Well, of course, but no, this guy tried to claim that there's no way you can guarantee that, you can ship 100% working product.
Yeah.
Bullshit. No, of course you can.
The thing that Six Sigma training taught me actually is, so the actual training, like I did this when I was at Samsung, right? Because that's high volume manufacturing stuff. And the actual benefit from it actually is that that's when I actually learned statistics, when I actually finally learned like the honestly the practical applications of it, seeing,
Of course. Yeah,
because the thing that it was always hard for me with statistics, you know about normal distributions, you know about sample size, all the other stuff, and I've been working on this.
But you didn't know why.
You didn't know why,
and
you
what
didn't
it was
know
useful
about
for.
the variation between stuff. But like when you have a tangible example, right? It's like I'm measuring how big this etched hole is on this silicon wafer, right? And then you measure it,
Right.
and you're measuring however many, and then you can tell, your sample size versus your whole population and everything. And it actually does start to fall into place then. And that's kind of cool. That's like a very contextual example.
Right.
Boo.
Hey.
Boo. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, that is when I've finally learned statistics.
Yep.
And
Same here. I'm no different. If you work in any production oriented company, you'll hit this stuff. If you're an engineer, you'll always, eventually come across this stuff.
Yeah.
And, yep.
Did you see?
And it is interesting. I love working on that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't really like
as I said, I'm a data guy. I love collecting data and plotting it. And, Yep.
I'm more of a bullshitter,
Right.
I mean, I didn't dislike it. I just didn't like.
Yeah, right.
I didn't like the
rock your boat.
the focus on rigor. Like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'd rather play around, see what does and doesn't work. But in production, there's no room for that. I didn't like that.
Especially in semiconductors.
Especially in semiconductors, exactly. Yeah, that's the downside. You can't just
and
go.
It depends on what all this Six Sigma stuff. Totally depends on what aspect of production you're in, what stage of production you're in. Obviously with wafers, you're always going to get a certain yield. You're going to get a certain amount of failures. You can't 100%. You can't get Six Sigma at the wafer level.
Right.
It's just impossible. Right.
Right.
Due to the process geometries and all that other thing.
Well, and I think
Jazz.
randomness in the universe too. Eventually
exactly.
someone's going to sneeze on a wafer.
Right, exactly.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
So there was actually, I actually was talking a little bit on Reddit this week about fabs and stuff like that, because I've been thinking about my old days at Samsung and just fabs in general. But I always wonder, why the hell do they put fabs where they do?
Don't they always locate them near a source of water?
See, that's what I was
They
thinking.
need a shitload of water.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, well, Cleveland's got a lot of water, right? We get the Great Lakes here. We have the 20% of the world's clean water or fresh water is within a 100-mile radius or something like that, something ridiculous like that. I'm not good at geography, so don't hold me to that. But there is a lot of fresh water here.
Where's Australia, dude? Is Australia? Can you locate Australia on a map?
It's the one hanging out by itself. WTF,
okay, so
mate.
you're the 1% of Americans who can.
Oh,
okay. Sorry.
1%. That's it.
Oh, no, I'm sure it's higher than that. Sorry,
it's probably
I've just
2 or
insulted all
3%.
Americans.
Anyways, I always thought water was a really big deal, but then I was thinking about it, and I'm thinking about where other fabs are, right? And Texas, that's where
Houston,
I was,
right?
So I was in Austin. Right. There's a crap load in Dallas.
I wouldn't think there's much water in Texas.
No, there's not. There's very little, actually. Right. I mean, the water levels on Lake Mead are Lake Mead, Travis. Lake Travis are super low. There's stuff in Dallas. Dallas has, all of TI's stuff's up there, and there's a couple others.
Right.
Then I think Microchip and Intel and National were all out in Arizona, right? It's not like Arizona is a desert.
Well, I think I'll tell you why they started up in these locations. Obviously it's not the water's not the primary concern. Obviously they start up where they started the company.
That's part of it, I think.
They want to build it local. I think that's a large part of it.
That is a big part to start, but then I think it's two things, and I wrote this in the Reddit post too. I think it's talent because of the people living there, right?
Yeah,
and the other thing is tax breaks. I think those are the two big ones.
State, you Yanks are big on state-based tax.
Yeah, exactly.
Rates.
Well, how many fabs are there in Australia, Dave?
Right. Yeah, bugger all one.
Yeah,
there's one.
I mean, and then because I look at the other ones too. Then up you look Portland or up in. Oregon, there's a bunch up there, Intel's up there and Maxim.
Right.
And then so basically I went and looked for this, and there actually is a map. It's actually a really cool map.
Really?
Yeah, and it's not just the US either, it's all over the world. It's kind of a crappy format, but you can actually zoom in and you can see all like not all, but a lot of the different fabs in the areas. There's a bunch in Colorado. There's some in Salt Lake City, Arizona.
Why don't they just do that as Google Map data and have it as a Google Map overlay?
This looks older, so I'm not sure.
Right.
But,
well,
there's a bunch in California.
someone should take all that data and stick it on Google Maps and have a...
Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah.
Fablocator.com, and just have a page that has a Google Map link with the data.
Yeah.
XML data on it.
So, yeah, it's, there's... Oh, look, there's none in Australia. Are there any in Australia? Do you know of any?
There is one fab here in Australia.
Which one?
Niche. It's a silicon on sapphire.
Oh, okay.
One here in Sydney.
See,
it does niche RF chips.
Yeah. See, now that stuff doesn't count though, in my opinion, because honestly, like when you get to that level, like there's a fab in Cleveland too.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's in an industrial park. Like it's
we
two
do
guys
not
in a
have a
CVD
general
machine.
purpose production lab.
Yeah,
no.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like there's university ones all over the place too. Like Case, my alma mater, has one on campus, and I know like Rochester Institute of Technology has like a huge one. They have a huge lab actually.
The National Security Agency have their own fab.
That's right.
NSA.
Yeah, they do.
They fab their own chips.
Yeah. Now, the surprising thing for me, and it shouldn't really be that surprising, but if you look at Japan on this map, so this is on 10stripe.com, Japan is absolutely littered with fabs. I don't know why that's surprising to me, but there's just a ton. I mean, in terms of geographic area. Probably because it's a lot of different companies as well. Like, if you look at, like, TSMC, right? TSMC is huge, but they're all, in Taiwan, right?
Well,
it's like
Japan is where everyone went in the 80s, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's
it's a lot
where,
of built up. Yeah.
Yep.
And
yep.
so
and
there's
then
a lot
they
of
shifted
different
from
ones.
Japan to Taiwan, and then now it's Taiwan they shifted to China, and now there's, but, in terms of manufacturing technology.
Right.
But fabs seem to have always sort of stayed the same around the world. They're, they haven't sort of discontinued all the fabs in the US or
right.
whatever.
And again, I think that part is really talent, right? Why wouldn't you like also like Albany, right?
Well,
Albany,
talent, and you invest so much.
Yeah, of
You're
course.
stuck, right? When you invest $5 billion, or I think it's now $10 billion to build a decent fab, right? You're going to operate that thing for a long time. You're in it for the long haul.
You're in it to
right?
win it.
You don't just close it on a whim,
Right.
right? You make it work. You find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And, no.
No, it's great though. I mean, so
Can't shut them down.
So it's and that is good. That's why there's stuff in Albany, right? I mean, Albany has the tax breaks, and like who would have thought Albany, right? But yeah, whatever.
And also the economies of scale. Once you've paid off that fab 10 times over, so the chips just get cheaper and cheaper. So you keep running this fab for 20, 30 years, and the chips just get cheaper.
Right. Well, and then even all the auxiliary servicing, right? I mean, you think about chemical companies that would spring, like fabs are incredibly chemical dependent, right? Like
all
Jensen
the
talked
local
about.
suppliers,
Right. And so a lot of that stuff's builds up around it as well. So it's it is kind of interesting though. It's I guess I expected it to be more spread out, and I also expected it to be more concentrated. So definitely a cool map though. Definitely worth looking at and seeing where everybody is. There's color coding and stuff like that. And this isn't everything. I mean, there's a lot in there, but it's not everything.
Right.
And
speaking of big-ass fabs,
yeah,
Xilinx have come out with their new 20-nanometer ultra scale. So this is chip of the week. We'll finish off the show with this because we're going way over.
Yeah. Well, and it's not really Xilinx. I mean, this is TSMC. Let's be honest here.
Oh, well, okay, right. Right. Xilinx. Do Xilinx have any of their own fabs?
Not that I know of. I'm pretty sure they're all TSMC. Yeah. They might have an alternate.
Anyway, they're running 20, and this chip just man, come on, this is just pornographic.
This is getting ridiculous, folks.
Right, it uses second generation 3D IC technology at 20 nanometers. It's got 4.4 million logic cells. It's got integrated 100 gigabit Ethernet max. Man, it's got 33 gig transceivers. Right, for chip to chip and chip to optic stuff. The key here
is to not look at the price.
Right. If
and
you
also,
have to,
If you're a PCB engineer, don't look at the layout on the.
No.
What's the pin?
Exactly.
So I see the IO count. I don't see the package type on this thing. It's got 1450 I/O pins.
The smallest one, the little baby of the range, is 520 pins. Yeah, the biggest one's 1,456 pins.
See, now there's something you don't get to do anymore, right? You're not going to be building
exactly,
your own. Why would you do that? I mean, unless you're going to be paying $1,000 a chip, you don't have the corporate mandate behind you. So
exactly, I was doing that all the time. I was laying out 1,000-pin PGAs before breakfast. That's
awesome.
Just. Right? But no, I have no reason to do that anymore, right?
Definitely not, yeah.
No.
Getting rusty on that,
and they got 1 volt I/O voltages.
Oh, man.
Just, and there's something to do with 16 nanometer FinFET.
That doesn't even matter to me anymore.
Like,
this is so far out of my league. This is the NSA buying these chips, right? I mean,
right, yeah.
And that's it. Like, there's a lot of military tech in here. There's a lot of high-end. Like, I think of these kind of guys, at least locally around here. I know a lot of the those like cell towers, Verizon's over in Pittsburgh. Yep. They'll buy these huge ass things, and then they'll have just racks and racks and racks of these. They're just cranking your cell phone data through them. It's awesome.
It's crazy.
Absolutely awesome.
And they use them for chip simulation and stuff like that. I think people were talking about this on the forum recently.
Mm-hmm.
They have just these farms of FPGAs that are used to simulate ASIC designs, right? Your latest chip designs, like your Cadence. Cadence make a box that has a whole grid of these high-end FPGAs in it, and they use them to simulate ASICs.
Huh. Well, I know that the Zynq, when that came out, there's another Xilinx part, when I first saw that, it was actually 6 other FPGAs on a dev board, and they were like, oh, this is our new platform. So yeah, it's the same kind of thing there, but that was a quasi-ASIC, half ASIC, half FPGA. Yeah, this stuff's ridiculous. I mean, I look at this, right, and I think, I see people asking, oh, how do I get started in FPGAs? And, you always have that good point about, starting with existing projects. Where do you even friggin' you don't start with these, right? But, like...
No.
This is just so massive.
Because you can't even afford it, because the development boards for them are thousands of dollars.
Oh,
unless you want to plonk... you can't get one of these for, $50 at Adafruit.
Right.
It's... It's just not going to happen.
Right. Well, and I assume a lot of this stuff, too, is like, generated code, that kind of thing. Like I've used in the past, it was many years ago now, but it was like, it was like a MATLAB program that generated FPGA code, right? And that was cool, but it was not efficient. But it didn't need to be efficient. You just paid enough that it could just, this thing's going to crunch on this for a while. It's going to stick in an FPGA, and you're going to have really fast, awesome hardware. That's done. Right. Okay, cool. I'll go do some more equations.
These things and the tools that go with them are not trivial to use and develop for. You can spend 6 months just getting your project up and running with one of these beasts. I mean, it's crazy.
At which point they tell you to upgrade to the next ISE level.
Right.
Ooh, burn. Xilinx burn.
Anyway, is that chip of the week the new Xilinx Vertex Ultra
killer.
Scale?
That's killer, man.
All right. There you go. Dude, we're hour and 22 minutes. We're way over.
I guess so. Well, you got to go make Kickstarter magic.
I got to go reflow some stuff and Kickstarter. Yeah, I'll probably just release it. I'm sick of agonizing over it. I'll just go, whatever. Who cares if I lose money on it? I'll just press go.
Don't put any pizza in your oven, though. Be sure not to mix that up.
Right. Okay.
Flex pizza is not that good.
Awesome.
So we are not sure what we're going to do in the next 2 weeks. It's obviously coming up in the holidays.
Christmas crap. Yep.
Yeah, so we may have an episode. We may not. If not, have a good New Year.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll find something
Happy
to
holidays.
do.
Yep. You guys don't take many holidays over Christmas, right? Whereas Australia, the Christmas holiday is the big break.
Oh, I'm taking like a week and a half, man. You guys have it in
the middle of the year. All right, well. But that's out of the ordinary, right? Like here, companies shut down from way before Christmas to way after New Year's. Sometimes they shut down for a couple of weeks.
Oh.
It's like, and they'll force you to take holidays. It's like, company's shutting down.
I've heard some do that, but usually it's only like a week shutdown kind of thing. It's not like a...
Right, no, here it's not uncommon for companies to shut down for 2 or 3 weeks.
I guess we should also mention that don't forget, your holidays don't matter, nor does your New Year's. The Chinese New Year is coming up in February. It's earlier this year, so Be sure to plan for that
date
now.
Is it?
I think it's like the last day of January. I think that's the one.
Right.
I don't have a
good thing that I'm doing hardly anything with China.
See, local manufacturing
my project
bonus.
So, well, but my local, like, it's not like I can get them manufactured next week because the fab houses here are probably shut down.
What are you talking about? You can do it in your lab right now. You got a toaster.
I can do it. I got my oven.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Local. Next up,
24/7 baking.
Chip machine.
With hand pick and place.
Next up, chip machine. Now you know the benefits.
Well, I wouldn't mind a pick and place.
That's right. Yeah.
I got nowhere to put it, but hey, I could spend a month learning how to use it, and then it'd be churn out my own boards.
There you go. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we will debate that either next week or in the new year.
Sweet.
See you then.
Bye.